Abigail.
Hello, Louise. Nice to see you.
And you. Thank you so much for joining me. I noticed on LinkedIn that you've got a couple of courses coming up, and I just wanted to share with my audience out here, what the course has got and what the content is, so that we can make sure that everybody gets an opportunity to listen to you.
Oh, that's really kind of you. Okay, well, I can see my books are behind you. The course that I'm doing at the moment is the cream book with the green heading, Effective Differentiation. And it was a book written for teachers, actually, but the course is for Senkos to help them use the resources and the structure in the book to get that inclusive practice consistently in place in schools, which is really quite difficult to do, but a real aim of inclusion. Pause. Deal with that.
The strategies in the book that will help Senkos to help teachers.
Absolutely.
Right. Why is differentiation so important?
I think differentiation is important because what we're doing is acknowledging the diversity within our classrooms. And, my particular interest is neurodiversity. So most of my work is based on making adaptations for children who might have diagnosed needs, but then again, they might not have identified needs yet. But I focus on 3 areas of deficit, of processing and memory difficulty that affect many children, and they are poor working memory, poor phonological processing, so poor speech sound processing, and slow processing time. And if we can help all teachers understand a little bit more about those 3 things and how they impact classroom learning, then we can help them open the door to a more productive learning experience for so many children, both kids, as I've said, who have identified needs and those who don't.
I think there's a lot of children that are getting lost in the system, who might not have the means, we might not have the systems in place to catch them. But like you say, that differentiation, if we do it, I think if we cater to the SEND children or to the gifted and talented children, we actually catch all children, right, identified or not. Well,
absolutely.
why is it so hard to do in the classroom? Because it is quite hard to do, and we've both been classroom teachers, and it is really hard to cater to everybody's individual needs. Why do you think it is so hard? Is it because we don't load the strategies? Is it because why?
I think it's kind of easy to in some ways describe why it's hard, and that is because the aspiration that we're all working to is infinite. Full inclusion requires training, it requires resource, it requires time to get to know and to understand what is going on with individuals. And that is something that is in very short supply in our schools at the moment. So I think that's one of the reasons it's hard. But I think the other reason it's difficult is because usually in a school, if you're really lucky, you've got one great Senko, and that Senko has had an opportunity to do some training, maybe has some experience in how to set up systems and structures within the school. But that's still a fairly, that's one person who's trying to create something that is school-wide. So I think actually we need to talk more about how educational leaders can promote their own SEND provisions, and how all of the decisions around children with who are vulnerable, children with special needs, are much more embedded in the decision-making processes about all children. So I think it's difficult because of what's happening in the individual teacher's life and in that classroom. And I think it's difficult because I don't think we're there yet in embedding inclusive thinking in the big structures of decision making in schools.
One of the acronyms I've heard since I've known you is Dr. Gopta. I had never heard of it before. I think it's because it's something that you created and something that
I made it up.
Yeah, you made it great.
If at first you don't succeed, make it up.
So just explain to me in a very short way, because obviously we would like people to join the course to learn about it in depth. What does Dr. Gopta mean to you?
Well, I've worked with children with specific learning difficulties since I was 22. So mnemonics, ways to keep things in mind and ways to support working memory are big for me. So I wanted to come up with a mnemonic that teachers could keep in their heads that would give them options, both when they were planning, but also making those individual judgments quickly in the classroom. How do I open the door to learning for this child? How do I make sure they have access to what I'm doing? So for me, Dr. Gupta represents those 7 possibilities. Within each of them, obviously, there are lots of things we can suggest, but it's the structure that it's built on. So dialogue, the teaching conversation, resources, what have you got to hand, what's available, grouping, how do we make sure that children are not in the same place with the same person the whole time, outcome, what actually are we looking for this child to show us as part of this learning process, pace, do we have to do it this week, this month, this term? How do we come back to things? Task. This is the most bit of differentiation that most people are familiar with. You know, you can give different children different things to do around the same concept. An assessment, any Senko will understand the variety and plethora of assessment possibilities, but which ones do we rely upon? How accessible are they? And, you know, what are the systems we need to have in place to make them accessible? So there's 7 things, Dr. Gupta, that kind of open doors to learning.
I think it's a really awesome way of remembering it as well on the spot. Like you say, I'm in the classroom, I've got the child, now what? And going through that does really help. Okay, so the upcoming training, you've got 3 more sessions left, I believe.
I've got 3 more sessions, but I'm running the course. I'm going to run the course overlapping constantly. So I did Tuesday afternoons, and I'm going to start Saturday mornings, and then I'm going to do an evening run. So they'll all be updated on my website as soon as I start a new course that'll be available.
Okay, what's your website?
It's www.senworks.co.uk. My company is called Senworks. WORKS, yeah.
.co.uk. Awesome. And you can sign up by going through the website, looking at the timings, and sign up there.
There's an online training page on the website, and all of the Eventbrite links to get your tickets are there. And for the first, I think the first 10 tickets are always 50% off. Awesome. So if you get there quickly and book in, you won't have to pay as much, and they're no more than £15 a session ever.
Well, thanks for spending the time with me. I thoroughly enjoyed the first session, which is what I'm now going to go back in and book the second session so I can follow the journey. But thanks for spending the time with me. I know that it's something that teachers out here would really like to learn more about. So I hope to see a few more of them on your course next week. Thanks for your time, Abigail.
Oh, thank you, Louise. See you soon.
Take care.